Let's get more on Nvidia. Go back there in the AI trade with the Melius head of technology research, Ben Reitzes. Ben, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Tyler. Great to be here.
Is what's been going on we sort of touched on it with Karen a moment ago, is what's been going on with Nvidia a kind of expectable phenomenon, something we've seen before? So an investor who is in there for the ride and goes, oh boy, we were down 15% last week. Is this the end of the game here? Should I be out of it? What's going on here?
Well, I think that Nvidia has these moves intra-quarter where people find themselves underweight and they have to catch up, and then it runs, and then there's all sorts of things. This last week, there was a rebalance, and I think a lot of people were playing that, and then it kind of unwound, and it created a big move. But in general, Nvidia has nailed the full stack approach. The only thing that I've experienced like this is, maybe two things. Maybe the Wintel monopoly of the 90s, or duopoly, whatever they were, and then Apple getting the iPhone. And the full stack approach, when people nail it, when a company nails it, is able to generate a disproportionate share of the profits for that sector. And in their case, some people argue it's like all the profits.
Well, that sounds like you're describing the word we used earlier, and that is ecosystem. That They have built it, they own it, it is their game to lose.
That's right. What they did, well, the foresight that they had is unparalleled. They that's why we were kind of laughing when some people asked me, are they being investigated? Like, for what? For foreseeing the biggest tech change ever, and they should be punished. But okay. But what they did is they built a language, a computing language, and an ecosystem that allows you to monetize AI, and obviously they're killing it. And I think that people, this is probably got the most upside of the Mag 7 that we cover, even though we really like Apple and a few others.
Questions, thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Karen. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Real quick, Ben initiated Dell on November 20th, and you've been spot on ever since. The quarter was May 31st. The stock sold off. Made actually sense to me. Are you concerned how it's been trading since? You had that little bounce after the sell-off, but it's right back to sort of those levels. I think the story's still intact, but the stock seemingly run out of steam a little bit.
Well, you can't go straight up unless you're Nvidia, right? That's the rule. In Dell's case, right, they missed margins, and there's concern that only Nvidia is allowed to beat margins, but some of their partners don't. I think if Dell demonstrated margin expansion sequentially as we go throughout the year, stock rebounds. But bigger picture, guy, I think that we're in a generational shift of market cap from like software SaaS back towards hardware. And if Dell shows that they can be part of these AI factories, that means a secularly right company. Secularly right companies get market multiples, even premiums, right? So we're staying the course based on that thesis.
What is, you had a question. Karen,
so he talked about Blackwell, first of all, coming out earlier than people thought, and then also that we will come out every year with a new chip. So in part of that, creating the ecosystem, how long do you think customers will buy that?
I think that what's really amazing about these guys is obviously they're doing all this and then they're innovating on this annual cadence. So developers and their customers, the clouds, can say, hey, I know where they're going. I'm going to budget accordingly and look into the future and know that there's an upgradable cadence. That is so valuable. Even though it's not an enterprise business, Apple does it every year. And that cadence is so reliable and gives you such a pole position. And also they're running, everybody's trying to catch them. And if they're running 150 miles an hour while everybody else is running 100, it's going to be hard to catch these guys.
So Ben, sort of piggybacking on that, when you look at the stock, it's got 80 to 85% market share. We've discussed that. When they did the stock split, I had thought they were pulling a rabbit out of a hat that they didn't need to try to take the attention off of mega beats going forward. They wanted to sort of suck up as much oxygen in the room. The retail investor could buy fractional shares. You didn't need to split the stock to be able to do that. In your mind, I know you're bullish, but in your mind, how long before we get to that next hump in the road do they have? Is it a 2-year cycle? How long do they outperform?
Well, we think they continue to outperform, and it's really hard to know quarter to quarter, but we are showing sequential growth. And I think that what we need to see is they continue to beat and raise, at least at some cadence. And that is very doable in a lot of our research that we see. the margins actually, one of the big surprises, margins have been able to stay intact and expand. And that's just staggering. 70% operating margins is rarefied air. Guy, that's why they deserve that high EV to sales. Because anyway, I think that as long as we see that sequential growth, we're going to keep going. One thing we wrote about recently, Steve, is that there's $270 billion in cash these guys are going to generate over the next 3 years. If they add a buyback to this, they don't want to say that because that's something mature companies
I just
do.
got the goosebumps.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my question. What are they going to do with all the cash they're going to have?
This could be the thing that answers Steve's question. It's no one's talking about it, and when you do the model we do, it's a cash gusher, and there's just nothing they can do. This government's not going to let them buy anything big. They can't invest that much in R&D. It's just not possible. So we got to get it as shareholders, and that could be the thing. One of the things that helps, and it doesn't mean they're not growing. It's not an insult to buy back stock if you got nothing else. Of
course. Final button here. It's in the 120s now. What's your price target on it?
My price target's 160, and we feel really good about that.